Radio check. Alright, we are 5x5. Hello, and welcome to the stream. Today, we're having a belated celebration of July 4th for the fellow members of the United States. Otherwise, this is just a normal day for y'all, but we have an update on the CRJ series by Aerosoft, which is really, really cool because while, you know, they were V2 version 2 was really good and all, but there were still some quirks about it that the aircraft couldn't hold. There were still some, you know, minor details that were ironing out. But I read through the change log for the most recent update, and it's looking pretty good. Some of it I don't particularly understand because it's more of like the programming parts of it more than it was the actual pilot stuff. But there is some really good pilot stuff too. It sounds like this aircraft should be able to hold now properly. Don't know for sure. You know, if ATC is not online as we arrive into St. Louis or on our way back into Minneapolis, we might go ahead and test that feature out and see if it works. If not, we'll just continue the flight as normal. But yeah, another update for the CRJ. I'm seeing some very good reviews. I'm seeing some very good stuff. And we're going to test it out for ourselves. So today we are doing some real Endeavor Ops, a regional airline in the United States, which operates under the Delta connection. And we are going to St. Louis and making the return flight to Minneapolis. And we are also in Microsoft Flight Sim 2020 because I want to test this aircraft in a stable sim first. I was having issues the last time I tried streaming this aircraft on 2024, so we'll wait probably about a stream or two, see how this thing performs, and then if I'm feeling brave down the road, I will certainly consider trying to stream it back on 2024 again. Alright, so as I get our stuff prepared here, alright, we're looking good. Now, let's go ahead and jump into the cockpit and get ourselves just about ready to go. Alright. Alright, cool. So here we are in Minneapolis, gate Alpha 13. We have the Minneapolis scenery. We don't have anything for St. Louis because I'm not the richest simmer in the world, but we do have Minneapolis, which is really cool, and it's very detailed. And actually, I'll show you in drone camera real quick. Just how detailed this airport really is. I've shown you guys before in a previous stream, but it's just super amazing. And you know, I showed you guys from the Terminal 2 perspective, but this is Terminal 1, but this is the Alpha gates. The airport kind of extends out a little bit from the main area of Terminal 1, and you see a lot of regionals and stuff operating out of here. So yeah, look at this. This is just super detailed. Look at the parking garage over there, some of the buildings and stuff. This is actually pretty good. This is just about what it looks like in real life. The only thing is that they didn't modify any of the streets or anything over here, but the buildings, the parking garage, the bridges, all of that stuff, it looks really, really good. The cargo area is nice. The military section over there is even cool as well. The tower looks really good. It's just a really great scenery, and I'm really glad that I got it. It's one of the only sceneries that I possess, but I have it, and it's really good. Alright, cool. So now, I'm going to try and remember what the camera settings are, because I fly the 737 too much, and you can tell because I always screw up the camera that I'm trying to go to. So before we turn the battery on, we're just going to verify that the landing gear is down, the speed brake is up, the flaps are up, the thrust levers are in the cutoff position, which they are. That's good. And everything looks good. So when we provide power to the aircraft, nothing strange is going to happen. And we are going to be doing APU power today. So we're going to turn the battery on, verify that everything comes alive, which it does. Look at that. That's pretty good. Come back up here. We'll go ahead and open the APU door. And you see the invite, the LCV, and the SOV are both open. That's good. And we can go ahead and start. And then we will, if I could speak, monitor our APU gauges down here. It looks like the RPM is coming up, and we'll watch the EGT as well and make sure that the APU doesn't have a hot start. because hot starts are not very good for engines, so we'll just keep monitoring that, but it looks like it's already doing really good. And we'll know we are good when all of the other screens, if I could speak, are coming alive. Boy, my English is not very good today, so bear with me as that whole ordeal happens. And just to verify that the APU is properly providing electric power, we're going to go ahead and hit the electric button over here, and the APU is in the green, everything is in the green, and it's providing positive charge to the aircraft. So that looks good to me. All right. So now what we'll do is we'll get our checklist on standby here, and we'll run the originating. So we'll check the oxygen. The oxygen is really good, and then everything from there on out we'll do via the flow. So we don't need AC power, we don't have JPU or EPU or anything. GPU. I don't know what's wrong with me today. I cannot speak, so this is going to be a very fun stream to try and listen to me talk. I might embarrass myself more than anything. All of the lights up here are extinguished. That's all good. All of our generators are in the automatic position. That's excellent. These auto transfer lights are also extinguished. That's what we want. Now, one thing that I want to see is when we do the fire X test to see if everything works just as it should. So to do that, actually, first we got to go back to our stat page. And then what we should see, I believe, is a message popping up on the right side screen here, and then we should also see these lights on the dash lighting up as well. So let's go ahead and hit it. Hold it in. Nope, we're still not seeing anything, so... yeah, don't know about that one either. That's not fixed, or I'm just not doing it at the right time, but I'm pretty sure it's supposed to work when you're on APU power and you're you know, on the originating part of this checklist. So that's still broken as far as I'm concerned, but you know what, if that's the extent of what's broken, I'm okay with it. So the hydraulic SOVs are both guarded and extinguished. That's good. We'll turn on our nav lights and our logo lights so the ground crew knows we're powered up. Fuel pumps can stay off for now. Bleed air, wing cross bleed is in the normal position. Bleed valves are auto. ISOL valve is closed, but that is going to be automatic as well, which is good. Bleed source, both engines, excellent. Love to see it. Our APU is on, and that's good. Engine start, all the lights are extinguished here. The hydraulics we will leave off for now, but we will turn those on before pushback to verify that those are working. We're going to do our landing elevation, which at St. Louis is 617, so we'll go ahead and set that to 620 down here, and to try and get a good camera view. It's very hard to see the numbers while you're scrolling, but you can get a pretty general idea of where you're at. 600, 620, we'll zoom in to verify. Yep, 620, so our landing elevation is set. That's good. Come back up here, cool. Everything looks fine up here. We're going to turn on our packs so the passengers, not just one passenger for a CRJ 900, they all can feel comfortable. We'll turn on the recirc fan. Aft cargo lights are extinguished. That's good. That looks good right there. We'll go ahead and turn the window heats to low, and the probe heats can stay off for now, and we'll try and make sure that we remember to turn those on before we take off. The dome light can stay off for now because we are in daytime and we can see everything, and everything else looks good, but I do plan on flying into nighttime, so we're just going to get all of the integral, I can't even speak, lights on. Boy, if I'm this bad at speaking right now, this whole stream is probably, as they say nowadays, cooked. Okay, so let's come down here and turn these lights on before I forget. And you know what, I do have the IRS knobs on realistic timing, so let's go ahead and flip those while we're thinking about it. Cool. We'll come back up here. Our landing lights and nose lights are all off. That's good. ELT is in the armed and reset position. Passenger oxygen is extinguished and guarded. That's good. No smoking will come on. Seatbelt signs will come on, and the emergency lights will be armed. we'll come down here, and today we'll worry about the autopilot panel afterwards. We have an auto ATC clearance, but it's auto ATC, so we'll look at the departure once we put our route into the FMC and everything, and we'll go from there. Okay, so the anti-skid is in the armed position. That's good. We'll test the MLG bay overheat. Cool. We get audibles and the red message pops up. That's good. And the overheat test warn fail. And we get the yellow indication and the sound. That's good. And light up the plane like a Christmas tree and verify our lights are all working. That's good. The ground proximity lights are all extinguished, and it looks like they're guarded as well. Are those guards? Yeah, they're guards. Cool. And then this light right here is extinguished, so that's good. We'll test the cockpit voice recorder as well. Make sure that that's functioning properly. Cool. We get a green light. We'll go ahead and arm the reversers on the ground, because that's a pretty standard procedure for some regionals. See it more often than not, so we're just going to roll with that. Thrust levers are in the cutoff position. Everything looks good here. Our pitch and roll disconnect switches are closed and locked. That's good. Alright, coming up here, we're going to... This is all good for now. We'll test the TCAS when our IRSs align. Our volume knobs and all the radio stuff are looking good. The radar section over here is looking just fine. We'll turn the ATC mode to 1. The standby disappears on our transponder, so we are producing a code. That's good. And we'll turn on our standby radio. And then we are going to turn on the stab trims and the mock trim, and that's engaged. We're looking good. Display fans and avionics fans are in the normal position, and our IRS knobs are in nav mode. Excellent. Aileron trim is looking neutral. That's good. The rudder trim is neutral as well. That's just where we want it. Our lighting is where we want it. We can probably... we won't turn the floodlight on at all for this part. Now, you should be able to turn the yaw damper on even before the IRSs align, I thought, but that might not be true. So let's go ahead and hit these buttons and see if the yaw damper turns off. It does not, so perhaps we still have to wait for the IRSs to align. So we'll make sure that we come back to that. Kind of want to test the chime buttons because the update, the change log says that these buttons should be functional. So let's see. Ooh. Okay. We do have chimes. That's good. Kind of curious if something pops up on the screen. Yeah, nothing pops up on the screen, but we do have chimes, so that's kind of cool. Alright. Everything down here is in the normal position. That's where we want it. That looks good. This whole audio panel is fine. And the right side audio is fine. And the flight dynamics look normal. Good. And the cargo fire X are extinguished and guarded. Excellent. Our landing gear emergency extend is down and locked. That's good. ADG is in the up and locked position. That's good. And the emergency flaps are in the normal position. So this aircraft is looking good so far. So let's go to the left side here. We're just going to do one notch of floodlights for this section because as it gets dark, if you don't have a little bit of floodlight in there, you will not be able to see these knobs. So we're just going to have those on for ourselves. Verify that ATC is still not online, so we're not going to pick up any type of ATIS. We will not. Good. Cool. So let's go ahead and look at the METAR, and we are looking at an altimeter setting of 29906. So let's set that in there. And I do believe I have everything synced. Yes, I do. Yes, I do. Cool. All of the altimeters set just fine. And our speeds we don't have to worry about right now. Okay, cool. So now we're going to verify with the checklist that we dealt with everything that we should. The sun is not really helping us here. I can still read it, but just barely on the right side. So the crew and oxygen masks are checked. That's good. Audio warning panel was checked. That sounds good. Electrical power panel was checked, and the APU is generating power. That's good. fire detection and FireX monitor test should have worked, but it didn't. I think that's just a bug in the sim. I'll do some research to make sure that I'm not doing that wrong, but I'm pretty sure it's a bug with the aircraft. External lights are on, that's good. Fuel panel, we'll go ahead and double check the fuel panel here. Just verify that everything is how it should. Excellent, we have all green here and our engines aren't on, so the low pressure warnings are just fine, but the APU is getting fuel flow, that's looking good. Excellent. Coming back here, finding my spot. Bleed air panel was checked, that's good. APU panel was good, start panel was good. Hydraulics are going to stay off for now until we're ready for pushback. ELT is armed, cabin pressure panel was dealt with. Air conditioning, the packs are on, we're good there. Anti-ice we don't need. It is currently 28 degrees Celsius in Minneapolis, which is pretty warm. Cool. Windshield heat is on low. Emergency lights are armed. Standby compass. We'll take a peek at that and just verify it matches our heading. And that's to the south. We're looking at about 210, which is pretty accurate for the spot we are on the airport. So that's good. Nose wheel steering is off. The clocks, they're set. We're looking good there. Excellent. Instrument panels were all checked. That's good. We're waiting for the IRSs to align for everything to come alive. The upper pedestal was checked. The thruster lever quadrant was checked, and our reverse thrust is armed on the ground. Avionics are all checked, and again, we're waiting for the IRSs to align for everything else to come through. The trims. So let's go ahead and put our performance and payload and all that stuff in here. So we're only taking 61 passengers today. So let's go ahead and type in 61. We have 3050 in cargo today. So what I think I'm going to do is put 1000 in the forward cargo. 1000. And then I'm going to put 2050 in the back. And that should keep us well within our CG limits here. Look at that. Looks good to me. And then our block fuel for today is 9103. So 9103, good, enter, and we're going to set it in the simulator, and we're looking for a trim value of 6.4, and we're well within the weight and balance limits, so that looks good. So to do that, we need to go back to the stat page, and then we're going to set the trim value to 6.4. Look at that. Verify that that's correct. 6.4. Yes, it is. Excellent. Back to checklist. Yaw damper doesn't seem to want to engage until the IRSs are aligned. And select the source panel. Source select panel. We're on FMC. Yep, FMS1. There we go. That's what I'm looking for. So that's good for me for now. All right, cool. So now that the IRSs are working on being aligned, we're actually going to put some position data in there. So we'll go to the FMC and we'll start everything we need to do. It says initialize position. So we are currently at Minneapolis St. Paul Kilo Mike Sierra Papa. So we'll throw that in the airport section here, and then we'll grab our actual coordinates by copying GNSS1 and going to previous page and setting our position as such. Look at that, our IRS is aligned up right for us, and then everything else is slowly going to load in here. Cool. We're going to flight plan. Again, we're coming from Minneapolis St. Paul to St. Louis. Kilo Sierra Tango Lima. Excellent. And our flight number today, we are going to be Endeavor 5165. And we are on VATSIM, so that will be our call sign. And luckily up here, we have something to remind us in case we forget. And we will execute that flight plan. Sweet. So before, now I'll start putting in the flight plan first, and then I'll worry about performance. So for today, we're doing the Rochester 1 departure, and that's going to be the Alpha Lima Oscar transition. And what runway are we using today? We are using winds are 040 at 9er, gust 17, which gives us an 80-degree crosswind, but they are in favor of 12. And since we are closer to 12 left and no ATC is on the line, we're just going to go ahead and use runway 12 left. Like so. Oh, and it got rid of our transition. So departure, runway, transition, then it puts in exactly how it should. Cool. Execute. So we go back to our flight plan here, and after the Alpha Lima Oscar VOR, we're going direct to India Romeo Kilo. So we'll put, oops, you know what, go back to flight plan, next page, there we go. India Romeo Kilo, we'll put that there. And then that's going to be the beginning to our arrival. First thing I'm going to do is go to leg page and see why there's a discontinuity. So, you know what I'll do real quick is go to the FB here, go to flight plan, there we go. We're going to import our OFP from SimBrief. Oh, do I have to re-sign in? That might be possible. Next page, SimBrief. We're going to check for latest navigating. Okay, that's good. Oh, you know what? That would probably be wise because my pilot ID is not in there. I always forget how to do this. It's probably because I haven't flown the CRJ in a while that it didn't save everything I put in last time. I'm looking specifically for, oh, here we go, account settings. There we go. All right. So we'll put that in real quick. There we go. We'll save options and check when it's loaded. Save options. Okay. So let's try this one more time. There we go. We put in our pilot ID and everything popped up here. Cool. So again, India Romeo Kilo, and then that's the beginning of our arrival. And then one thing I would like to do is, oh, you know what, I never put in my alternate. Getting distracted by things I wasn't expecting. Today our alternate is going to be Kilo Sierra Papa India. But we shouldn't need an alternate. The weather in St. Louis is looking okay, although there seems to be some chance of convective activity. Might run into some isolated thunderstorms, but they seem to be few and far in between. So we're looking 90% chance that we're going to be clear going into St. Louis, but on the off chance, we have an alternate. Cool. So let's go here. Let's just check this departure and see if it makes sense. So Rochester 1 departure. I'm going to put this into night mode because day mode is always blinding. Oh, I always forget I can't zoom out of this with the scroll wheel. We're going to look here. So Farmington, Foxtrot, Golf, Tango is the beginning of the departure here. Waterloo, that's what Alpha Lima Oscar is. Cool. So we're expecting radar vectors to Farmington, although ATC is not online, so we will likely have to vector ourselves. But vectors, and then Farmington is the beginning, so let's go ahead and get rid of that discontinuity. And let's go to arrivals here. And we're doing the Lorley 3. Not sure if I'm pronouncing that correctly, but we're going to try for it. And we'll see what SimBrief says our landing runway is going to be. They're saying we're going to get 30 right, so let's go ahead and plan for that for now. Excuse me. And we are doing the India Romeo Kilo transition, which looks good. Excellent. So let's execute that, go to our legs page, get rid of any discontinuities, which likely exist. Yep, there we go. So just the ILS, but our arrival, there is no discontinuity here. India Romeo Kilo takes us straight in, so that's good. So we'll execute that. That looks good. All right, so let's go ahead and do our performance profile. So our flex temp today, let's see if we get one. We have the handy dandy takeoff tool with SimBrief. And today we're doing runway 12 left. And just want to make sure I have all of the information going here. So toga, flex, yep. Wind is correct. Air temperature is correct, and condition dry runway is correct, so everything looks good there. So today our flex temp is going to be 41, so let's go ahead and put that in there. That will be our flex temp, and then we'll start with our performance data. Alright, so today we have 61 passengers on board, so let's throw that in there. Oops, that was not the right spot for that. Cool. 61. Cargo, we're looking at 3050 for the total. And then our fuel, we'll go ahead and put in what's in the plane right now, so 9065. Oh, excuse me. And today our cruise altitude is going to be a whopping 38,000 feet, flight level 380, so let's throw that in there. Good. And we'll execute that profile, and then we'll go to the VNAV setup. And our VNAV, we're just going to do the standard. OFPs often come with it, but I'm not going to be that in-depth about it, so we're just going to keep the 290, Mach 0.74 for the climb, fine by me. Target speed, we'll do 320 knots in cruise and Mach 0.77. That's relatively standard. And the next page, we'll do Mach 0.77 again for the descent, but we'll do 300 knots for the descent once we get out of the Mach speeds. Cool. So we will execute that, and we're good on our VNAV, and we'll double check everything on the performance. So cruise, the top of climb winds are 250 at 40. So let's go ahead and put that there. That looks good to me. And then our reserves today are going to be 3124. That looks good to me as well. And taxi fuel can stay at 220. We're not looking at a ridiculously long taxi or anything like that. Alright, so we have our route. We have our performance and VNAV set up, and secondary flight plan. You know what, we're just going to forget about it for now. You probably should do that for your alternate, but again, I'm not a real-life CRJ pilot, and I'm just here to have fun, and we're not expecting to divert, so I think we're okay. Alright, so one thing that I wanted to do when the flight plan was set was go to the format here, go to the plan page, and then we're just going to scroll through all the waypoints and verify that everything looks how it's supposed to. We're moving in the right direction, and we're going to St. Louis. We'll probably zoom in a little bit there. We're looking good. And then we have vectors to our ILS. So our flight plan is looking proper. And we'll go back to zoom out a little bit. Oops, that's the wrong one. I don't know what I'm doing here. Cool. Alright, so our FMC is set for us, and the last thing I want to do is get our V-speeds set up for us. So going back to the performance page on the EFB, we are looking at V1 138, so let's flip that over and set 138 for ourselves. And you could, you know, set all for it, but I kind of like to do it for real, as if I'm actually flying the plane. Okay, select VR is 139. And we're getting the blips, we're getting the red arcs on the VSI. And it passes, and the last thing we'll do is do the GPWS system.
Full up. Terrain. Wind shear. Wind shear. Wind shear.
Okay. And I do believe that I have the shortened version set on there. I never double checked the settings on that one, but there's definitely, if this were the real plane, you would have a long list of, you know, audible alerts and things coming up as you're testing that. But for the purpose of the sim, I think it's set short, and we'll keep it short. Cool. So now we're looking good there. So I think we're just about ready for pushback. So yaw damper is on, and the source selection is good. So let's go to before start. The passenger signs are on. The landing elevation is set. Our altimeters are set, our FMS is set, the IRSs are aligned and in nav mode, radios and nav aids. So what we will do is CTAF at Minneapolis, since ATC is not on the line. We'll figure out what that is. I used to remember it offhand, but it's been a while, so we're just going to look it up, and we're looking for 126.7. So we're going to put in 126.7 on the radio panel here. Flip it over to active, and then we're going to have 122.8 on standby, and you can see on the radio here that that's exactly what we have, so that looks good. Cameras again. Alright, so radios and nav aids are set in takeoff briefing. We're taking off runway 12 left, and we're going to be vectoring ourselves towards the Farmington VOR, and the top altitude for this departure is 7,000, but since ATC is not online and there is hardly any traffic in the area, we're just going to go straight up to our cruise, which reminds me, before we start engines, we're going to set that for ourselves. So we'll flip the altimeter knob here. Oop. Try and see if I can make this faster without having to scroll so much. There we go. You know what, I'm pretty sure that I went into the EFB and I set the fast mode on. Yes, here we go. Knob turn acceleration, yes, please. There we go, 38,000 feet. 1, 2, 3. 38,000 on the dot. And we'll set our speed bug after we take off, because when you throw it into speed mode after you take off, if you preset it, it doesn't stick. It resets itself to whatever speed you're going, so we'll leave it for now. We'll throw our heading bug onto runway heading, which, because I flew out of Minneapolis a lot, I already knew it's 121, and I passed that because I stopped paying attention. Cool, so heading is set, altitude is set, speed mode we'll worry about in the air, and everything else is good from there. So we'll turn on the flight directors after engine start and before we taxi. So our autopilot panel is set, and we can go ahead and begin our before start checklist. Alright, so cleared to start. Devices are off. We're just going to leave these iPads on because they're useful to us. This isn't a real plane. APU is on. Electronics were checked, so we're good there. Takeoff data is set. We have our V speeds and everything like that. We'll go ahead and pull the jetway from the aircraft. There we go. And we'll close the door. And we'll remove the chocks and turn on our beacon. Go back to the checklist. The doors are closed and locked. I heard them in my ear. The beacon is on. Fuel pumps can come on. Up here, both in the on position. Good to go. Hydraulic pumps, we'll turn those on. And then we'll verify that those are working. So 3A is in the on position and the rest are on auto. Let's go down here, check out our hydraulics page. And we have 3,000 PSI, that's in the green, that looks good to go. So the hydraulics are working exactly as we expect. And the parking brake can come off once we get this pushback going. So we're going to plan our manual pushback. Oh, you know what? That was a mistake. I meant to pre-plan, not do the manual. I'm still new with this add-on. I keep forgetting you got to pre-plan it. So we're going to pre-plan it here and make sure we don't push into anything. Alright, so where do we want to push back from here? We're going to want to... We're going to go ahead and push on to this taxiway right here, and we'll follow that to get onto, I believe it's Papa. Okay, and that looks good to me. We'll hit enter, and now let's request our pushback.
Cockpit to ground. This is ground. Stand by.
Okay, and we'll get our after start checklist on standby.
hatch is closed and all ground equipment is removed.
The parking brakes are set. You may lift.
And we'll wait
Parking
for
brake
the
set.
tug
Lifting
to
the
lift our
aircraft.
nose, and once they give us the go, we'll turn off the parking brake and we will begin engine start.
We are cleared for start and push.
Okay, cleared for push start. Please release parking brake.
Alright. Brakes released.
Parking brakes are released.
Commencing pushback. You can start the engines in sequence.
It will start in the sequence.
Alright, so let's go up top and begin our engine start. So we're going to hold the right engine start switch. We'll start with number 2. Hold it for 3 seconds. Wait for the light to come on, which it does. We're looking for the light to come on for the pack, but it didn't yet again. But I hear the change in the packs audibly, so that's good. N2 is rising, so once we hit 20% N2, lift the lock up and we will throw our engine in idle, introducing fuel. And then monitor the engine from there. Alright, oil pressure is rising, oil temp is rising, everything is still
Okay,
in the
pushback
green.
completed. Please set your parking brake.
Okay, brakes are set.
Parking brakes set.
That was kind of an
Parking brake
aggressive
set.
start by the
Lowering
pushback. Our nose was continuously lifting,
You
that
may
was weird.
disconnect.
Okay, sir. Cleared to disconnect. Pin
Alright.
has been removed. See you at the side.
Engine number 2, it looks like a good start. We
Holding
had a
position,
negative
waiting for
hot
visual.
start and we're
Thank you and
stable. So
goodbye.
let's go ahead and start our engine number 1. Hold it for 3 seconds. And we hear the pack turning off, but again it doesn't light up, which is interesting, so we'll just trust. Alright, N2 is rising. And that's 20% N2. Introduce fuel. And we'll verify that ATC is still not online, and it is not, so we don't have to worry about it. Alright, 2 stable engine starts. That's what you like to see. So we'll come over here, oop, not there, to our EFB. Alright, so the generators are in the auto position. Yes, they all are. That's good. The electronics, we'll double check here since we now have engine power. So electronics, we have green all from the engine generators and green numbers, so that's good to go. And then we will double check the battery here by hitting the electric button again. Cool. Go back to our checklist. Bleed valves are all on auto, which yes they are. Looks good to me. Packs are on. Yep. APU we will turn off. So we'll start stop that, and then we will hit the power fuel and verify that the, if we go to our stat page, verify that the APU SOV door is closed, which it is. We have no more enunciation for that, so that's good. APU is off. Anti-ice. Let's go ahead and get our probe heats on. Probe heats are on. Good to go. Nose wheel steering is armed. Now, we'll go to taxi. We will set our flaps. We're doing a flaps 8 departure, according to SimBrief. Which is pretty standard. Okay, we have flaps 8. That's good. The flight controls we will check. Let's go down here, flight control page, and we will check here. Full right aileron and spoiler is up. Left aileron is down. Left aileron up and spoiler. Right aileron down. Elevator full forward. Elevator full aft. Rudder full right, for left, and the flight controls are free and correct, and our stab trim is in the proper position as well. Good to go. Go back down to, actually we'll forget about the stat page, double check the checklist here. So the thrust reversers are armed, but we'll of course double check again. Armed, good to go. And then the flight instruments are checked, those look good to me. And then the brake temp, so yes, we need to go back to stat page and then verify we have all green down here, which we do. Excellent. Now we have our taxi, we're good to go, and here's our before takeoff. Cool. So what we're going to do is we're going to box our alerts here, and if anything new pops up, then we'll know, because it'll look a lot different. We can get rid of the pushback tool here. Alright, we are ready for taxi. Now let's go ahead and get those charts pulled up. I'm pretty familiar with MSP, but I want to, you know, double check that I have the correct taxiways. Alright, so we're going to be taking Papa. Yep, Papa to runway 12 left. Alright. Minneapolis traffic, Endeavor 5165 is at the Alpha Terminal, taking Papa to runway 12 left, Minneapolis. Alright, so we'll go ahead and release our parking brakes, and our nose light is on, so we're ready to taxi. Excellent. Let's get a move on, shall we? We're making a pretty immediate right turn here. Give it a little extra power since we're in the turn. We'll find our taxiway. Which is right over here. And then we'll just monitor our ground speed down here to make sure we're not taxiing insanely fast. We're only at 9 knots right now, which is pretty good being as close to gates as we are. So we're going to follow these lines, and Papa is going to be on the right side over here, so let's get on to Papa. Get our passengers a little seasick from the side-to-side motion. Unintentional, but that's the way we got to do it. And the winds are very much favoring runway 4, but they're not strong enough for it to open. They never use that runway unless they absolutely have to. So it is 12 left today, and we'll just have to keep an eye on that crosswind. Alright, we're at a taxi speed of about 13 knots. We can bump that up just a little bit so we're not dragging our feet. There we go. And while we're taxiing, just take a look at VATSIM radar, and there is no traffic anywhere, even in the state of Minnesota. So we're clear, good to go. We can pretty much do what we want to intercept the Rochester 1 departure. And it would have been really nice if we were using the 3 zeros today, because we would have had a 30-second taxi as opposed to going all the way across the airport to the other end. But welcome to the airline pilot life, I guess. Alright, so we're coming up to runway 4. We know there's no traffic in the area. Landing lights and strobes are coming on, and we'll announce our cross. Minneapolis traffic, Endeavor 5165 is crossing runway 4 on Papa, Minneapolis. roll the sleeves up. We're about to get serious. Alright, we've crossed the runway. Landing lights and strobes can come off for now. Those will be coming back on very shortly. Look at that, we got a really stiff crosswind that's going to come from our left side as we're taking off. So we're going to keep that in mind as we are rolling down the runway. The steady winds are only about 9 knots, but the gusts are up to 17. So we're just going to be careful for any wind gusts. We don't want our wings to strike the runway. Alright, so the runway is going to be clear. Let's go to our checklist before takeoff. The lights and strobes can all come on once again. The fuel cross flow is going to go to auto, and that's going to pop up something over here. So let's box our enunciations over here. And flight attendants are advised. Transponder and TCAS is set to where I want it. Radar and terrain display is good, and the CAS is good. Excellent. Alright. Minneapolis departure, Endeavour 5165 is taking runway 12 left, departing southbound via Rochester 1 departure, Minneapolis. Alright, so we're taking the runway, left side is clear, right's clear, and we're cleared to enter. Alright. So let's get ourselves lined up. We're going at a snail's pace right now, so let's bump up the speed just a little bit. And we don't have to, but we'll use up whatever runway we can just to have it available to us. And we're going to go engines 40% N1. Alright, engines are stable. We'll initiate toga mode. Oop, a little too far to the right. And we'll do toga thrust. And again, that crosswind is coming pretty stiff from the left side. And it's trying to blow our nose to the right because it's really hitting that tail. We'll walk the aileron out, 80 knots, cross-check. Looks good there. And we'll walk out that crosswind as we get a more forward relative wind. V1's coming shortly. While we are very close to the end of the runway here. V1, rotate. A little bit of a sloppy rotate, but that's alright. Okay, we have a positive rate. Gears coming up.
Full stop.
Yep, I am doing just fine. Thank you. That was our GPWS. That's always a good thing. And we'll pitch down to pick up some speed. Thrust can go back to climb.
Don't sink.
I am doing alright. Okay, we'll go flaps 1. And we're picking up speed. And we'll make a left turn towards the Farmington VOR. And flaps can go all the way up. Then we're pitching for 250 knots on the climb. There is no speed restriction on the departure. Alright, and we'll activate direct to Farmington, execute that. We will arm nav mode and speed mode. We will engage the autopilot, and we will put our speed to 250 knots for the initial climb out. Sweet. And the autopilot did a good job on smoothly intercepting our flight director over here, so that's good. are climbing relatively nicely for it being a warmer day out here in Minneapolis, so that's pretty good. Engine gauges are all looking good. We are maintaining 250 knots. We're direct to Farmington. You love to see it. And we're passing through 10,000, so we'll use the no smoking sign to notify the flight attendants. Alright. Very interesting. Oh, and you know what? We can run our climb check now. Well, as soon as we speed up to 290, because that was going to be our climb out speed. Do it nice and smoothly so this plane doesn't absolutely nosedive. And it does look like we are turning left after Farmington, so the autopilot's doing what we want it to. So we'll come up top here, and the fuel cross flow can go back to automatic. Bleeds and APU are all set, we're looking good there. Thrust reversers can go in the off position for now. Alright, and CAS we checked, and we have no smoking and seatbelts. Let's go ahead and box that again. There we go. Right on. And now we're climbing at 290 knots, which is good. We are still on course. Love to see it. We'll go ahead and zoom that out a little bit so we can see more of our route. Excellent. All right. So less than 60 miles from Rochester. And it looks like just over 80 miles before the end of the Rochester 1 departure. Cool. We'll get our descent checklist on standby, and we'll wait for 18,000 feet and then turn our altimeters to standard. We'll go ahead and give ourselves a heading sync, just in case. It's honestly one thing that I wish that all planes with updated avionics, you'll never see a steam gauge that does this, but heading sync, it's a beautiful thing. You know, when I fly the 737 on the sim and I want to sync the heading, you gotta scroll a whole bunch to get to where you want to go, but being able to just hit one button and your heading bug is matching your heading, amazing. Alright. Man, that sun is not doing us any justice on this climb out. Can we turn our head and make it any better? Kinda. Guess we're gonna have to look at a weird angle for our climb for a minute or so. Maybe even longer. We'll probably have to level out to not get that glare. Alright, 18,000 feet. Let's go ahead and flip our altimeters to standard and verify that everything else syncs. Oh my goodness, that's terrible. But it looked like it did sync, so that's good. We're going to be looking over here for somewhat of an extended period of time. Chicago Center is online right now, so it does look like we'll have some form of ATC available to us, but it's basically just going to be throughout our cruise. So let's double check the charts here. Probably should have had the departure loaded up this whole time, but oops. But we're looking right on schedule. We were most certainly above 4,000 feet over faux bugs, so no concerns there. Excellent. Oh my goodness. That glare is... Very realistic, though. That would exist. Even in the small planes, if you have any sort of screen in there and the sun's behind you, it can actually be very bright. And it's just as hard to see other stuff as it is in the sim. Very well done, Microsoft, I will say. Realism level max. On that aspect, anyway. Okay. Engine gauges are still looking good. Climb rate is 2,000 feet per minute, which is pretty nice for 22,000 feet plus. What is the outside temperature doing? Standing air temperature is negative 18 Celsius, but our total air temperature, if I could speak, is 4 degrees Celsius, still above freezing. No visible moisture, so anti-ice is still not required. We'll just keep an eye on our arrival into St. Louis, because there is always the possibility of pop-up storms, which actually I'm going to check on right now. So, the radar is showing storms near St. Louis, but they appear to be to the northwest. Ooh. There's a line of isolated thunderstorms, you know, kind of northwest of the field, but they seem to be heading straight south. So I do believe that the airport itself as we land is going to be just fine. So that's some good news. Alright, how are we doing on that glare? Up, still just very prevalent. I gotta say, 38,000 feet is pretty crazy for this short of a route, but if that's what SimBrief wants, that's what SimBrief gets. Ooh, jeez. Alright, so I'm gonna want the right side here to show me some VNav stuff, so let's turn that on. And through the sun glare, you see our VNav information over here, so that's good. Wow. That is an uncomfortable amount of glare. Our heading is pretty far off, so a little re-heading sync there. Oh, look at that. The glare is starting to go away. Oh, never mind. It's coming back. Alright. Got a little bit teased there. And out of curiosity, just want to see how long of a cruise we have. If I would zoom in the correct direction. So we've got a decent cruise, so we'll be able to chill for a little bit. Nope. That sun glare is something to avoid, that's for sure. Okay. The plane's turning. And it seems like our direction of flight has saved us has saved our eyeballs from permanent damage. And once the plane levels out and gets settled, I'll hit another heading sync. If it does get settled. Okay. We are fighting a crosswind from the right side at 42 knots, and we are pointed a little bit to the right side here, so that looks good. If we're staying on this heading, I'll go ahead and sink it. Synchronize. And while we're climbing, it probably wouldn't hit to get a nice external view. See the sunset. Look at that. Absolutely gorgeous. Well, you know what? I never turned my landing lights off. What am I doing? What am I new here? It is a really nice view. Aerosoft did a really good job on this plane, and I'm glad they updated it because I thoroughly enjoy flying it. It just kind of sucked that, you know, after about a year, maybe even less of it being out, it just kind of stopped doing anything with it. But they came back to it, and it's a lot more fun. And the realism seems to be very nicely upgraded as well. Okay, so our speed bug here just flipped over to Mach speed. I probably should have done it sooner, but we do want to climb at, we put Mach 0.74, so we'll use that as our climb. That's definitely something I should have been paying attention to, was intercepting our 0.74 that we put in VNav for the Mach speed that we want to climb at. But, oh well. Because then you get something a little bit better than 900 feet per minute in your climb. Look at that, we went from 900 feet per minute to 2,400 feet per minute. That's a pretty good jump. I'm sure someone is getting antsy in their seats and they want to take that seat belt off, so. And let's see what ATC is doing. We are getting close to Chicago's airspace. And you know what? I forgot to turn to the en route advisory as well, which was 122.8. So we're going to be tuning into 134.875. 134. .875, and we're going to verify that that's proper standby because my panel does not have the third decimal. So 875. Yep, that's what we're looking for. Love it, love it, love it. Alright. This is your captain speaking. We should be getting to cruise altitude any time now. Once we reach that, you guys can go to the bathroom or do whatever you need to do. Definitely a lot of pitching there. Seems like Chicago Center wants us to give them a good old contact, so 134.875 confirmed. Let's go ahead and switch on over. Chicago Center, good evening. Endeavor 5165, flight level 361, climbing 380.
Endeavor 5165, Chicago Center, radar contact, welcome. Scout 449, clearance Bill, I'm sorry, that was not you. You had 265, you looking for clearance? Yeah, 265, cleared to the Toronto Airport via the Midway 8 departure, radar vectors E-bake, then is filed. Climb via SID, top altitude 5,000. Expect level 37010 minutes after departure. Departure is this frequency, squawk 0565.
This plane is doing a lot of bobbing up and down to maintain its climb speed. And that vertical speed is going up and down with it as well. Like right there, just pitched up, and now it's bobbing back down.
Yeah, 265, read back correcting. Expect runway 9 right at
So close.
Correction, Sierra, call for taxi. Yeah, 2649, descend and maintain 9,000, cleared direct Cooper, join the ILS runway 10 center.
Got a 9,000, direct Cooper,
1,000 to go.
287 out whiskey, disregard the report, runway 27, clear for the option, unable stop and go.
27 out whiskey, clear for the option, 27.
November 771 Delta Charlie requesting full stop landing at my arrival airport, Kilo Charlie India Delta requesting runway 27 straight in.
Number 771 Delta Charlie, descend at pilot's discretion, maintain VFR, altimeter 209 or 2, Cedar Rapids, and you can make the straight in for runway 27.
Straight in for runway 27, altimeter 29 or 2. Maintain VFR altitude or descent at pilot's discretion 1 Delta Charlie.
Very good. You read back all the instructions.
South there, South, reporting out with Alpha, slow short of Alpha, ready to taxi,
Scout 6449, runway 10 left at Delta Delta, and taxi via Alpha 10 November.
Come on, you got this plane. Let's go.
and center UPS 2987, airborne 3000.
It's almost there.
UPS 2987, Chicago Center, radar contact, climb, maintain, flight level 320, clear direct Cedar Rapids.
Up to flight level 320, clear direct to Cedar Rapids for UPS 2987 heavy.
Endeavor 5165, squawk 2675.
Squawk 2675, Endeavor 5165.
In Wisconsin 6053, clear direct Shane, cross Shane 12000, and the O'Hare altimeter 2993, runway 10 left, correction 10 center.
Cross Shane at 10,000 there, Wisconsin 6053, and can you just repeat that runway?
10 center.
There we go.
Expect 10 center.
2675.
Yeah, 2649, cleared direct Rudder, cross Rudder 4000, cleared Osprey 10 center approach.
I'm a moron because I should have done that when I was on the ground. because
2649,
Auto
when you can, squawk
ATC
2063.
gave me a squawk code, and I'm normally so good about that, but dang, that's alright. He didn't yell at me, so that's a good thing.
Air 287 Alpha Whiskey, taxi to the GA ramp via Alpha. Have a good day.
Alright, we are at our cruise altitude.
Okay.
The air is pretty smooth up here, so we'll go ahead and turn off
Yeah,
fasten
2649
seatbelt
report
signs.
Ruda.
The people can move about the cabin as they wish, and we're looking at about, let's see here. We've got quite a while before top of descent, so at this point we will
For
just
542,
kick
pop Alpha,
back,
reach for departure grid, void
relax,
is now off in 10
and
minutes.
we'll
now
enjoy
off
the
in 10,
flight.
report on this frequency,
And,
no later than 15 minutes of intentions, change advices approved for airborne,
we
please.
will see you very shortly.
Pop Alpha, that's correct, and change advices approved, thank you.
Chicago. We have a trust aboard. We don't see a Rudder. We have us over a mule, a Scran, on the ILS 797.
Alright, no worries. You cleared out runway 9 center, report Meath inbound.
Report Meath and
Air Wisconsin 6053, a cleared direct Shane, cross Shane 12000, the O'Hare altimeter 2993.
Cleared direct Shane, cross Shane 12000, Air Wisconsin 6053.
Endeavor 5165, squawk 2675.
Squawking 2675, I'll double check if it's working. Sorry about that. Endeavor 5165.
Roger.
Apparently he's not getting it. So
Yeah, let me know if you try, if it doesn't work, that's fine.
2675, altitude reporting is
Chicago
fine.
Center, American 514. We have Alpha,
Yeah,
flight level
we-
370. Just passing Vigor.
American 514, Chicago Center, radar contact, welcome. Descend via the Flight 7 arrival. O'Hare's landing east, O'Hare altimeter 2993.
What I'll do is go on P-Pilot,
2993, landing east,
recycle
at
the
Flight
mode
7,
C and see
American
if that
514.
works.
American 514, you can expect the runway 10 center, ATIS. Oh, where is it? Stand by.
It's Alpha, I got it.
Alright, thanks.
Oh, you know what? I should have pulled the power back just a little bit. To about 1,800 pounds per minute on the fuel flow. That should give us a steady cruise speed. There we go. In Chicago Center, Endeavor 5165. We tried recycling mode C. Let me know if you have it.
No worries, stand by 1.
He said if he doesn't have it, we don't have to worry about it, but that's kind of
I
an
forced
interesting
it.
thing.
It'll work. Yeah, I got your radar contact. Endeavor 5165, cross Guzik at and maintain level 310.
Cross Guzik at and maintain flight level 310, Endeavor 5165. Alright, so Guzik, that's going to be part of our arrival, it looks like. We'll go over here to, oh man, which one are, oh, you know what, I'm still on the MSP, what am I doing? Go to St. Louis, and our arrival, we are doing the Lorley 3, and we'll verify. So, Guzik, he wants us flight level 310, so that's going to be a little bit of an earlier descent, so we'll plan for that. So let's go over here to our legs page, and
Endeavor 5165, disregard. I see you over Kirksville.
yep, that's a different
Endeavor
route.
5165, at positive, scratch descend and maintain level 310.
Yeah, I just noticed that. Descend and maintain, pilot's discretion, flight level 310, Endeavour 5165. Alright, so we're going to throw on those fasten seatbelt signs because we are going to be doing a descent here. Flight level 310, I'm going to take a guess and say that you don't want to be any higher than that between these two locations. So we're just going to make a nice gradual descent. We'll take some power out of there as well.
Got 40, correction, 6449, fly runway heading runway 10 left at Delta, Delta, clear for takeoff.
So we're going to start descending. We'll do about 1,500 feet per minute, and we'll slow down a good chunk. Just so we're not over speeding.
Yeah, 360 Chicago here.
Alright, we're looking at a pretty consistent speed now, so that's good. And we'll try and maintain about Mach 1.7.
Yeah, 2649, wind 01017.
Get these passengers to destination a hair early. We know they like that. And we're actually slowing down ever so slightly, so let's increase power a little more.
771 Delta Charlie, Sea Airport's off the nose there, 20 miles, reports the airport in sight.
November 771 Delta Charlie, I'll be looking for the airport.
Roger, just let me know when you got it.
Oh. And it looks like we had some sort of message pop up, but it's gone now. We'll pay closer. Oh, you know what? It's because we flipped the seatbelt sign back on. Okay, so stat page, we'll box those. Scared myself. Thought there was something wrong with the plane for a second.
Yeah, 265. Which runway you set up for there? 9 right, Sierra Sierra? Yeah, 265, runway 9 right at Sierra Sierra, taxi via Golf, cross runway 4 left.
Interesting. So, I thought about the whole squawk code thing, and it says 2675 on screen here, and I was curious what it said on my Logitech radio panel, and it's still saying 2000, so...
Yeah, 2649, taxi west on Echo, cross runway
weird.
4 left,
Okay.
hold short runway 9 right at Romeo. No worries, west on Echo, cross 4 left, hold short runway 9 right at Romeo.
So now we're picking up speed just a little bit, so let's walk back a hair, a little bit of power. And right there seems to be keeping us pretty steady.
And UPS 2383 Heavy, Chicago Center, which runway you set up for?
We're set for 10 left.
Roger, UPS 2383 Heavy, runway 10 left at Delta, Delta, taxi via Sierra 1, Uniform, Foxtrot, hold short runway 10 center.
Alright, Sierra 1, Uniform, Foxtrot, 10 left.
Sky with 6449 radar contact altitude.
Level 5000, Sky with 6449.
Sky 6449, climb maintain, flight level 230, critical mobile, resume normal speed.
230, direct level normal speed, Sky West 6449.
And now we're getting to the point where we should check the weather at St. Louis and verify the winds are favoring the runway we're expecting, which I believe was 30 left. Just going to verify here. Arrival 30 right is what we were actually planning. Okay, cool. So 30 right. And the winds are 230 at Niner, so that's pretty good. It's about a 70-degree crosswind, but it's only 9 knots, so I'm not going to be overly concerned about that.
Alpha 7, good evening. Southwest 2773, descend on ND6, arrival.
United 36, I got your radar contact.
500
Welcome.
feet to go
And
for flight level
2773,
310.
radar contact. Welcome.
Airport inside, 1 Delta Charlie.
Okay, increasing power to
Number
compensate
771
for
Delta
the
Charlie,
pitching up.
Roger. Make straight in final runway 27, clear to land.
Runway 27, straight in, clear to land. Thank you for your help.
Yeah, 2649, cross runway 9 right at Foxtrot. Continue taxi via Golf. And hold short runway 4 left.
Cross on right,
Okay, cross 9 right at Romeo. Left turn on to Golf. Hold short runway 4 left at Golf.
9 right, Romeo, Golf 474.
Okay, we are flight level 310.
Crew 5423.
We're going to be here for a
offline,
second
radar
so the
service
seatbelt
terminated,
signs
change
can come
advisory
back
for
off.
good night.
Good night, frequency 2.
Sorry. At 265, runway 9 right at Sierra Sierra, line up away, traffic crosses downfield. UPS 2383 heavy, cross runway 10 center at Foxtrot, continue taxi via Papa Sierra Sierra, correction, Papa Delta Delta for 10 left.
Roger, Falcon, there's a Foxtrot, you guys can get outside Delta, UPS 23.
Stop 2773, descend via the ND7 arrival here, I'm sorry, runway 4 right transition, midway altimeter 2992.
2992, descend via the ND7.
So it seems like we're slowing down a little bit, so let's get that power back up so we don't slow down too
closing up
much.
here in about 10 minutes.
Oh, Chicago Center's closing. Unfortunate. Oh well. So by the time we cross Juter, we want to be at or below flight level 310,
Roger.
and
Yeah,
at 280 knots.
Fly runway heading, runway 9
And we're going
right
down at or
Sierra
above
Sierra.
12,000
Group takeoff.
at 280 knots. We are doing the 3 zeros, so according to this, just
Yeah,
verifying.
2649, cross runway 4 left at Golf, continue
Doles.
taxi to the terminal.
Yeah, so we're going all the way down here, so we'll follow all these altitude and speed restrictions as we're moving along here.
Right. Endeavor 5165, Kansas City Center's offline. Radar service terminated, change advisory approved. Good night.
Over to advisory, Endeavor 5165. Have a good night. Alright, so we got our frequency change.
66 Mike at Potts discretion, descend and maintain level 24.
So we're going to advisory, which is 122.8, and we will look up the CTAF for St. Louis so we can have it on standby. Stay ahead of the game here. We're looking for 118.5, so let's have 118.5 on standby. Definitely gonna have to look into that squawk code thing because that has not been an issue before this update. I have used the transponder in the plane and my Logitech radio stack for numerous flights beforehand, and I never had an issue. So I wonder if either my Logitech radio stack is just not communicating, or if the CRJ with the new update is actually having a problem transmitting the squawk code to VATSIM controllers. That'll be something to look into. Our top of descent we're being told is 69 miles. It's right here, so we'll look for that, and then it should also give us a descent rate as we get closer and we're ready to descend. We'll dim the displays a little bit just so they're not blinding us. Same thing with the standby as well. There we go. Everything's looking more eye-friendly. Auto ATC is telling us to do something. Busy Center descend via Lorley 3. Yup, that's what we were planning on doing. St. Louis altimeter is 29905. Okay. So basically, it's just telling us to do what we were planning on doing, and it gave us an altimeter setting, which is very kind. So, see how old that altimeter reporting is. Oh, it's only 12 minutes, so it should be the same thing as we get into the area. We'll go ahead and hit another heading sync. Drift it off just a little bit. And once we get closer to top of descent, we'll get those seatbelt signs back on and start preparing for our arrival into St. Louis. And on the right side screen over here, we are getting a descent rate now that we're getting closer to our top of descent, so that's looking good. We have a nice VNAV profile. Alrighty, 10 miles from top of descent, so let's go ahead and get those seatbelt signs on. Let the passengers know that we are ready for descent, that it's about to start going on, and we will set the altitude here. We'll go ahead and put it at the bottom. You know what? Since this is a manual descent and we don't have an automatic VNAV mode, let's go ahead and do this the right way. So the bottom altitude we want to be at when we cross rivers is 12,000. Now we're obviously going to be relatively significantly higher than that, but you know, just in case for whatever reason, we want to make sure that we don't go underneath that when we're not supposed to. And then we will change our altitudes as we're going down the arrival according to our charts. Alright, it looks like we're at top of descent, so let's go ahead and descend at 1,700 feet per minute, just as the VNAV display over here is telling us we should. Oh, you know what? It's saying 700 feet per minute. That's me not paying close attention there. Hopefully that didn't take the passengers for too crazy of a ride. And let's use our power to get back to Mach 0.77-ish. And we'll box our stat page again. Cool, and we'll run through the descent checklist really quick. So the landing elevation is set. The fuel we'll check. We're at 50-60, which is plenty. Our reserve fuel, once again, is 3124, so we'll be just fine. I don't see us having to divert anytime in there. The TCAS is set. We're fine there. Radar on off. We don't need radar. It's looking, you know, not too bad. I'm not seeing any crazy vertical stacks or thunderstorms or anything like that. CAS is checked. We're good there. We boxed it. Landing data is set, and it's all going to be automatic as far as the ILS and everything like that, so that's fine. The approach briefing, we're doing the ILS 30 right. We'll brief that once we get closer. So before landing will be next. And most of that is going to be pretty easy and done already. And since we are in our descent, we'll go ahead and change the altimeter to that 299.5. So that's set for us. And we're pretty early in the arrival procedure, so let's just take a peek at the ILS 30 right so we know what we're expecting here. Oh, you know what? It's actually not even an ILS, I believe it's an RNAV. Oh, here we go. ILS 30 right, cool. So the frequency is going to be 111.3. Final approach course is 303, so we'll watch out for that. The minimums are 805. We'll keep that in mind. Airport elevation is 618. We do have the landing elevation set. If we have to go missed, we're going to climb to 1,020 feet, then a climbing right turn to 3,000, direct the Troy VOR, and we will hold. And if we have to hold, it looks like we're going to be making a parallel entry, so back coursing here and then making the course to intercept the inbound again. Our minimum safe altitude to the north, which we're coming from, is 2,300, so we should be fine at that altitude. I'm not going to go any lower than 3,000, just to be safe. A little extra safety never hurt. It looks like we're going direct to Rayleigh, if that's how you say that. So, Rayleigh exhale. Oh, so we're intercepting exhale, 3,500. So we'll go to 3,500 at the end of this procedure, and then we will, oh, you know what? Our VNAV changed. It wants us to descend at 2,300 feet per minute, so we'll go ahead and abide by that, and we'll just watch our speed closely, and then check again. So we have LSIF 2 lighting with PAPIs, so we're going to have some red terminating bars, it looks like. That's good. And then it just kind of visualizes our missed approach for us. And then the Troy VOR is 116.0, so if we need that, we'll keep that on standby. Alright, so we're going to go back to the arrival and just monitor that as we go. So we want to be at Juder at 280 knots. Oh, you know what? We're at Juder. It looks like the EFB is offset. That's really interesting. Okay, so we're actually up here on the arrival. For some reason, the EFB is lagged behind us quite a bit. So we're going to have to, you know, watch out for that very carefully. But we're going to be at 280 knots all the way through get up, and we don't slow down until we hit 10,000 feet. So we're going to do our best to maintain 280 knots throughout the arrival. And it's telling us to reduce our descent just a little bit to 2,100, so we'll do that. We're going to keep the screen. You guys can't see it on the stream because I got a very wide screen, but I'm monitoring this over here at the very edge of my screen. So there we go, 280 knots. We're looking good there. Verify no ATC is online, which they are not. So that's fine. And then when we're within about 15 to 20 miles of the airport, we'll switch over to St. Louis CTAF. So we're starting to lose some speed, so let's put a little throttle back in there. Then when we cross over rivers here, our next altitude restriction is going to be between 11 and 15,000. So we'll set the altitude bug to 11,000 to ensure we don't go below that. Oh, getting a little fast. Power back out. Very fine power control in this descent. It looks like little changes in throttle are resulting in big changes in speed, so we'll just keep that in mind. Have very small throttle movements. We're still telling us to maintain a 2,000 foot per minute descent. It just changed to 1,900, so let's go back one. There we go. Watch the speed again, just to be thorough. And I'm curious on the radar. So, yeah, the spotty storms northwest of St. Louis don't seem to be holding up as much anymore. And I don't think the simulator is simulating them as much, so we'll just, for right now, it doesn't look like we'll run into anything, but we will, you know, still maintain vigilance just to not accidentally fly into a thunderstorm. And we're 18,000, so with the no smoking, we'll alert the flight attendants. Box hour CAS again. There we go. And then I will be checking our VREF speed. So we're looking for a VREF of 137. So I think I'll probably do between 145 to 150 on final approach, just to make sure we're not too slow. You always want to add 5 or so just as a safety buffer. Some airlines do 5, some do 10. I think 5 is good enough as long as you don't go below that. Now that we're starting to get closer to the airport, I am going to reduce the zoom on the MFD to 20 miles. That looks good. Hit it with a quick heading sync, just so we can stay on course in the event something goes wrong. We're still doing pretty good at 280 knots, just very small throttle adjustments as it, you know, oscillates up and down. Try obviously the best that we can to prevent oscillation in speed or anything like that, but you know, you can't always control it. Alright, since we're coming up to 15,000, I would consider that final descent. So let's get our camera back on. And we are getting some cloud cover over here, so we'll be aware of that. The standing air temperature is positive 1 degree Celsius, so we're not going to be expecting any icing. The total air temperature is 18 degrees Celsius, so, you know, air friction and stuff like that is going to be on our side. And the standing air temperature is actively increasing, so I think we should be A-okay as far as that's concerned. Now our VNAV wants us to slow the descent rate just a little bit, so let's go ahead and do that. And for now, we'll maintain 280 knots. We are below, let's go back to our charts here. We're coming up on Tater. Yep, Tater, and we're between 10 and 11,000. No, we're above our restrictions, so our VNAV didn't really do a good job there, but alright. Oh, you know what? I forgot to lower the altitude bug. That's pretty important. Okay, let's go back into descent mode here. That was very unfortunate. So it wants us 1,700 feet per minute, so looks like our VNAV is not super good at being between top altitudes. So let's try and keep our speed up just a little bit here, and we'll put the speed bug on 280 just to help us out a little bit. Oh. Okay, so it looks like our aircraft did in fact sync up with the chart here, so that's good. Our next altitude, we don't want to be below 8,000, and we want to be between 8,000 and 9,000. Okay, so despite what the VNAV says, we're gonna still have to be decent pilots and manually make sure that we're within the restrictions that are prescribed on the chart. That one is on me. Okay, so based off of this current rate, we should be between 8,000 and 9,000 by the next waypoint, which is what the restriction tells us. We're coming up on 10,000 feet, so let's go throttle idle. Let's slow down the plane, get the landing lights on. Get down to 250 below 10,000 feet. And then our next speed restriction will be at any, and that's going to be 210 knots. So let's use a little bit of speed brake to put us down to 250. And we will set that on our speed bug as well, just to help us out. Still no ATC online, that's fine. We are within 20 miles, so let's go ahead and switch over to St. Louis CTAF. Okay, now we're about 250. That's good. Okay. And we're doing good on the altitude there, so we're going to set it down to 7,000. And we'll zoom in on the MFD to get more of an accurate display. That's looking good. We can actually reduce our descent angle just a little bit. Oops. And you know what? We want to be at 210 knots. So let's go throttle idle. Let's set that speed bug for ourselves to help us out. And then at the end of this arrival, we want to be at 5,000. So we'll just go ahead and set 5,000 and then manually pay attention to the previous altitude restrictions as well. Let's use our speed brakes because this plane is actually not wanting to slow down right now. And we'll go ahead and arm our thrust reversers and do a quick before landing check. So flight attendants are advised, passenger signs are on, thrust reversers are armed, and then landing gear and flaps and slats will be in our control. Oh, you know what? I had the spoilers out this whole time. Interesting. We want to be 5,000. Okay, cool. So we're where we need to be. And let's get this approach on standby. Go to approach, localizer 30 right. And we shouldn't have to look at that much, but just in case. And we're going to want to be at 5,000 by the time we get to Dobbles, is what I'm going to call that. And this plane is struggling to get down to 210 knots, even with the spoilers deployed, which is interesting because the CRJ with the spoilers deployed is pretty decent at slowing down usually. And then we'll vector ourselves to exhale. It looks like we're going to be in visual conditions pretty soon, so that's good. So we got another airport around us. Okay. Alright, so let's descend down to 3,500. And we'll do that via vertical speed, and we'll go about 1,000 feet per minute. We want to keep going in this direction just a little bit to pass exhale so we can turn and give ourselves a 30-degree localizer intercept. And then hopefully... So let's go into heading sync. And then we'll flip to heading mode. And then when we start turning to intercept our localizer, then we will start arming approach mode and get ready to shoot the ILS. It looks like we're going to be in the clouds for the very beginning of this approach. Maybe we'll get lucky and just scathe under it, but for now I'm going to put my money on clouds, and we'll start with the ILS and we'll go visual once we obtain visual. And again, minimums are 805. Okay, we're doing a pretty good job at maintaining the 210 knots. Alright, let's go ahead and turn to the right 90 degrees. We'll go 220. And let's stay at 210 knots for now. And then we'll begin slowing down once we intercept that localizer. Speaking of which, we'll go ahead and flip our nav source to localizer. Excellent. And then in a couple miles, we'll give ourselves that 30-degree intercept, which we're going to be looking for 270. And we do have the glide slope coming in, so that's really good. The localizer is already in there, that's good. Let's go ahead and turn 270 now. Then once we level out, we'll arm approach mode. And let's slow down to 180 knots. And we'll drop the slats to kind of help us just a little bit. Then once we intercept the localizer, we'll go flaps 5. And then once we intercept the glide slope, we will drop the gear and go from there. And it looks like we're going to be out of the clouds for this approach, but you can never be too careful. So now let's arm approach mode. So that's armed. You can see by the localizer 1 here, it's in white. And the glide slope is also in white and armed as well. So once that comes in, this aircraft should intercept it beautifully. And again, we're going for 180 knots. Let's go flaps 5. Look at that. It's doing it, so I think we'll be okay. This plane does struggle occasionally to intercept the localizer for some reason. At least it did before. I don't know if this update did anything good for that. Alright. Yeah, rolled out kind of early, but that's okay. When it comes to a parallel runway, that's better than the alternative. And we do have visual, so let's go ahead and get the airport diagram on standby. There we go. And the terminal is over here, so 30 right. Is going to be all the way on the opposite side. Oh, good. Fun. Alright, so we're intercepting that glide slope. The gear is coming down. And let's take out some throttle. The plane really wanted to speed up there. And we are on the localizer, so it's doing a good job at maintaining the ILS. St. Louis traffic, Endeavor 5165 is on an 8-mile final, runway 30 right, St. Louis. Oh, you know what? My freaking spoilers were still out. Jeez. I gotta pay closer attention to that when I try and use them to slow down. That could have been really bad on landing. Okay, let's go ahead and go full laps 20. And then when we are on a 5-mile final, we will get ourselves fully configured. And we'll do 160 knots at flaps 20. Come on. Let's get more a straight-on view here. We're kind of crooked. Keeps trying to do that light by the EFB. Okay. And flaps 30. St. Louis traffic, Endeavor 5165 on a 5-mile final, runway 30 right, St. Louis. And again, we're going for 145 knots just to be safe. Our VREF is 137 plus 5 is 142, but 145 is a nice even multiple of 5 for us to refer to. So, looks like has us a little bit to the right side of the runway. So you know what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this by hand. Seems like my autopilot disconnect button is not working. Okay. Alright, so we have it by hand now. So the autopilot disconnect audio alert is not working. So we have 3 greens on the landing gear, that's good. Nope, we're coming a little bit to the right here. So let's get back to the left. Our glide slope is looking pretty good, 145 knots, and we'll just keep this all the way through. Get back on center line. Oop, a little bit of an overcorrection, that's on me. We're getting a little bit low, so let's introduce power. Oof. I gotta get used to flying these by hand again. This is pretty... a little bit of oscillations going on. It seems like we have a slight crosswind coming in from the left side, so we'll account for that. Not overcorrect though. Oop, we're getting kind of high. Oh, yep, that's on me. Didn't mean to dive down so hard.
50, 40, 30, 20, 10.
Okay, nice and smooth. Hold it out. Okay. That wasn't horrible. Okay, reversers are coming out. Oop. Trying to get back on center line. That's... center line was awful there. 2 in reverse. And the ground spoilers did deploy. Alright, 60 knots. Reversers off. And spoilers can come down. Alright. That was interesting. That definitely could have been better. Okay, let's go ahead and turn the APU on while we're ahead of the game. Okay, that is starting. That's good. And we'll go to the after landing checklist. APU's on, transponder radar. We're just going to leave that on since we're on VATSIM. Flaps and slaps can go to 0. And probe heats are off. And we'll leave the lights on for now because we are going to cross a parallel here. So let's go to our charts. St. Louis traffic, Endeavor 5165 is clear of runway 30 right on Echo, taking Papa Delta Charlie 6 at the terminal, St. Louis. Okay, oops. I'm off the center line here, so we're going to be turning to the right. Because that's the de-icing pad, and we don't want to go there. Maybe we do. Okay. Oh, you know what? This is a default scenery, so it might be out of date data from the sim, because this is saying we're going to a pad, which is incorrect, but St. Louis traffic, Endeavor 5165, crossing 30 left on Papa, St. Louis. At least I hope that's Papa. So we're clear right, clear left, get ourselves across. Where is this taking us now? Interesting. Alright. We'll just go ahead and deal with what's going on right now. So we're expecting gate Alpha 8. It's going to be over here. Okay. So we'll make the left turn on Charlie. Alright. St. Louis traffic, Endeavor 5165 is clear of 30 left on Charlie 6, taking Charlie to the terminal, St. Louis. Okay. Landing lights are coming off. Oops, not the nose one. We want that. Strobes are coming off. And the Alpha terminal is over here to our right side. And gate Alpha 8 is going to be right here, just before that little divot in the terminal. So let's try and look for that, which it looks like is coming up on our left side here. So after landing is complete. Alright, cool. I'm just kind of guessing where I'm supposed to go. I do believe that Alpha 8 is this one right here. And again, it's default scenery, so there's not a lot of lighting going on here, so we'll have to keep our taxi light on just to see it. But normally, you'd want that off so you don't blind the ramp agents. Okay. Coming up, coming up, coming up. Just going to get a little bit closer so the jetway can reach us. Alright. Alright, the parking brake is set. Let's go ahead and get that dome light on so we can see a little bit more. And we'll shut the engines off. Okay. And we can turn the beacon off. And the fasten seatbelt signs can go off as well. Okay. Sweet. So shutdown check, parking brake is on, seatbelt signs off, thrust levers shut off, and we'll turn the reversers off as well. Anti-ice is off, fuel pumps can go off. The beacon is off, we already did that. We'll turn our taxi light off so we're not blinding anyone. And then the nose wheel steering is off. Now let's go ahead and place some chocks, open the door, and get ready for the jetway. Alright, the jetway is connected, and it appears that we are in a turnaround state. Alright, cool. So, now, I'm going to take some time here to reload this plane, because in the past, if I've tried to back-to-back a CRJ, it would crash the sim. So, I'm going to reload into the sim for the return flight to Minneapolis, and it may take a little bit of an extended period of time because I'm also kind of getting an aching feeling on the right side of my face, so I might want some Advil or something like that as well. So bear with me. Welcome to St. Louis. I'm going to restart everything and make sure that it's going to operate nice and fine for the flight back to Minneapolis, and we will be back. Alright. See you momentarily. Alright, alright. We are back to it. That approach into St. Louis was a little bit on the rougher side. Definitely was over controlling a little bit. I was trying to, you know, figure out what angle, basically what crab angle the aircraft was supposed to be, so I could maintain that center line compared to the crosswind. The crosswind wasn't super strong. It looked like it was only like 7 or 8 knots, but I was just kind of going back and forth. The center line was a little off, and yeah, that was bad. And then the landing was, it was okay. It was it wasn't a slammer, and it was a little bit less than firm, but it wasn't a greaser by any means. But we brought that nose down, and then we got pretty close to off the center line as we were rolling out, but I managed to find it back. So hopefully I can redeem myself, you know, going back into Minneapolis, and we will. Trying to think of what I was going to say there. We will be going to the same gate that we departed out of Alpha 13 over at MSP, and we're just going to depart out of the same gate, obviously, because we parked here. We might as well stay here, but bring it back to. We definitely had to reload because I didn't want this to crash, you know, loading flights back to back or anything like that. I've never loaded this aircraft from a turnaround state, and one of the funny things is that the turnaround state is with the GPU connected. So I got the GPU off out of there. I preset the payload and everything like that, so we can try and minimize the time it takes to get out of here. Bear with me here, I'm just checking something. Alright, so everything's looking good here. Cool. So, again, I've never loaded this aircraft from a turnaround state before, and, you know, I thought I connected the jetway. Oh, goodness. Let's try this again. Okay, now the jetway's moving in. That was very interesting. Okay, but anyway, as you can see, we're in the turnaround state. So let's go ahead and run our flows and checks and everything, and let's verify that everything is where we want it to be for this flight. So we're just going to kind of quickly run through here. So the battery master's on. We are on APU power, so we don't need that. All of our generators are auto. I'm kind of curious what happens when the IRSs are aligned, if this fire detection works. No, it's still not working. Okay, cool. So hydraulics are in the good position here. It looks like our hydraulics are all in the auto position, but the main hydraulic is off. That's really interesting. Nav lights and logo lights are on. We'll keep the fuel pumps off for now until we're ready to start. All of our bleed valves are exactly where we want them to be. APU's on. Cool. Let's set our landing elevation. So at MSP, field elevation is 842. So we're going to go ahead and set that to 840. And again, we got to zoom out and try and see as much as we can. Look at that, 840. Good, cool. Our packs should be on, which they are. The recirc fan is on. That's good. Everything's good here. The windshield heat is already on low. That's good. Probes can stay off for now. The dome light is on because we can't really see anything. Looks like all of our lights are on for us, so that's pretty cool. These lights can stay off. Fasten seatbelt signs are come on, so the passengers know to fasten their seatbelts when they get on. Cool. Emergency lights are armed. Let's go down here. Everything looks good. We don't have to test everything because we're in a turnaround state. The thrust reversers are armed. That's good. And we'll come down here. We actually want these lights to be on as well. So we're on ATC 1. Standby radio's on. Stab trim. It looks like it's on, so that's good. How's our yaw damper doing? The yaw damper is also on. That's good. Alright, so I like what I see. We're in nav mode. Our IRSs should already be aligned for us. What I am going to do is turn some of these displays down because, boy, are they bright. Good. Turn this floodlight on so we can see our knobs. And display, turn that down just a little bit. And then the standby, turn that down too. Maybe bump this up just a hair more. Okay, looks good to me. Cool. So we can go straight to the before start checklist here. Just have that on standby, but we're going to start loading the FMC real quick. So position and net. We are at St. Louis. And again, we'll just copy our GNSS1 position, and oh, it's already there for us. Oops. We'll just ignore that ever happened. So we are going from St. Louis back to MSP for our return. Kilo Mike Sierra Papa, cool. Today our flight number is Endeavor 4821. So 4821. We'll throw that in our flight number. Our alternate today, I can't believe I forgot to put that in last time, is St. Cloud. Okay, that's an interesting alternate, but that's kind of cool though. So St. Cloud is Kilo Sierra Tango Charlie. Cool. So that's our alternate, and we'll execute that. And then we'll start with our departure. So out of St. Louis today, we are going to do the EMOS 5. I don't know how you would pronounce that. I'm going to call it EMOS 5. So EMOS 5. Today we're taking runway 30 left out of here, and we are doing the Neens transition. So we'll throw that in there and we'll execute. Then we'll go back to our flight plan, and then from there, we are going direct to India Oscar Whiskey, which I'm not sure which VOR that is. From there, we're going direct to Minoso, which is going to be the entry into our arrival. And we're doing the Bloom 4. Oh, you know what? I gotta go back. Huh. There we go. Bloom 4. We're doing the ILS. We'll do runway 12 left because we want to just kind of park at our gate relatively quickly. And then from Bloom 4, blah, 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 it is the Minoso transition. I can't believe I forgot that already. Cool. So Minoso's in there. Cool. We'll execute that. Go to our legs page. Verify there are no discontinuities. So we're scrolling through here, and the only discontinuity looks like the beginning of the ILS. So let's get rid of that. So we have vectors to Hamel, which looks good to me. We'll execute that. And our flight plan looks good. So let's go to our performance page. Today we're looking at a flex temp of 42 according to SimBrief's takeoff calculator. So let's throw that in there. Cool. Then perfinite. And today we have a full flight. We do have 90 passengers on board, which is pretty cool. Cargo is 4,500 pounds. And then fuel, we'll put in what we have. So 9790 is what we're gonna throw in there. 9790 fuel. Our cruise altitude today, so flight level 380 was pretty high, and I think you don't want to be any higher. Oh, you know what, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm talking about the flight level on the way to. Oh, you know what, that's not valid for direction of flight, so we're gonna do flight level 310 here. Does that make any sense? Even. Yeah, 320 was fine. I don't know what I'm thinking here. Flight level 320. SimBrief had me at an incorrect altitude from Minneapolis to St. Louis, and I can't believe I didn't recognize that. That's not good. Oops. Alright, so flight level 320. Excellent, we'll execute that. And then we'll go to next page. Our top of climb winds is what we'll use for cruise, and it's 240 at 33. Throw that in there, and then go to next page, and our reserves for the day are going to be 3617. 3617 over in reserves. Cool. That's good. VNAV setup. We'll do just the same standard VNAV setup that we did last time. So 320.77 and 0.77 300. Execute. And then we'll throw the right side in VNAV mode again, but we're just going to have to be cautious on our own descent rate because it had us busting altitude restrictions on the way into St. Louis. So that's good. Perfnet, yep. That looks all good. That's all set. Cool. So we're all set on the FMC, and then the last thing I want to do is go to our performance, set our trim value, which is 6.8. Oop, wrong direction. I don't know what I'm doing there. Yep, 6.8. There we go. And then I want to check the V-speed, so 149. So let's go ahead and flip this over. So 149 is V1 and VR. Okay, so VR is 149, good, and then V2 is 158. Excellent. And then we'll go over here in VT, we're looking at 207, alright. Years of scrolling later. Cool. So 207, excellent. So we have our V speeds in there. That looks good. And everything else. So we have the passenger signs are on. The landing elevation is set. The altimeter, we'll double check here. The altimeter is still 299.5. So we'll make sure that that's set. So 299.5, good. FMS is checked and set. We're good there. The IRSs are in nav mode and they're aligned already. So that's good. Radios and nav aids. So once again the CTAF was 118.5, so let's get that into our radio. And we do have en route Unicom on standby. That's good. So radios and nav aids are all set, and then the takeoff briefing, we're taking off runway 30 left, and then let's go ahead and import the OFP, and then we'll go with our use FMS plan. Cool. So out of St. Louis, our departure, how could I already forget what this is? We're doing the EMOS 5. Oh man. I need to figure out how to set it to night mode. So our top altitude is 5,000. However, there's minimal traffic in the area and there's no ATC online. So let's just go straight to our cruise. So we'll set the altitude bug to 32,000 feet. Flight level 320. Oops. Way past that. My mistake. 32,000. Good. Then, are there any speed restrictions? Oh, you know what? I gotta use this. So, the good news for us is our altitude restrictions are an at or above, and we have plenty of power to do that, and there is no speed restriction whatsoever. Cool. Awesome. So I like that. So let's go to airport and have the airport diagram ready to go. So we know how to taxi, and again 30 left. So we'll probably just take Charlie. Maybe we'll take Delta. It'd probably be smarter to take Delta. We'll take Delta down all the way to the end and take off from 30 left right there. Alright, cool. So we're cleared to start. We'll do that checklist. The devices we'll leave on because we don't care. APU is on. Electrics, so let's double check those since we are in a new state and we haven't looked at it yet. Electrics, we're all in the green. APU is providing positive charge, and let's check the battery. And again, those are all in the green. We have all green numbers. Cool. Love to see it. And takeoff data is set. Make sure we have our flex temp, which we do. It's highlighted in magenta on top there. Doors can be closed, so let's go ahead and shut the door. We will take the jetway away. Just verify visually that it disconnects, which it does. Cool. Let's get that door closed and the chocks removed. And we will turn on our beacon. Alright, the beacon's on. The fuel pumps are coming on. Hydraulic pumps can all come on, so they're all in the auto position. And let's go to our hydraulics page and verify that that looks normal. Yep, we're in the green. Everything looks green. Sweet. Just have our stat page on standby one more time. And the parking brake can come off. So we are ready for pushback. So why don't we go ahead and do that. Double check that there is someone on the airport, but it looks like they're pretty far away from us, so we're pretty clear to push back from here. Sweet. And we are taking off 30, so we're going to want our nose to face to the left. And this time we'll do it right and pre-plan our pushback. And why don't we do this? We'll push back onto the taxiway. And that'll be good for us. And then that is taxiway Charlie, so we'll just let Sita... Oh, for some reason my frequency auto changed on me. That was weird. Okay, 118.5. Okay, cool. Alright. Oh, you know what? Before I forget, squawk code. And the way that I'm going to do this time to see if it works on VATSIM is I'm going to do it via my Logitech panel. I did it on the SIM only and it didn't automatically transfer over. So, let's, we're looking at 5707. And we're going to verify that that's displaying correctly, which it is. Wait for the box to disappear, and then I'll mess with my Logitech radio panel. Oh, that box isn't going to disappear. Okay, that's fine. So let's do 5707 on here. Yeah, the Logitech radio panel and the in-sim radio panel here don't communicate with each other on the squawk code. It does for the comm frequencies, but it doesn't for the squawk code for some reason, so that's something to take note of. But it looks like we're set here, so let's roll with it. So we got the squawk code. That's all good, said and done. And now I think we can make our announcement. Alright. St. Louis traffic, Endeavor 4821 is at the Alpha Terminal. Going to be pushing back onto Charlie, St. Louis. Okay. We'll request the pushback.
Cockpit to ground.
This is ground. Stand by. Okay, sir. The bypass pin is installed. All doors and hatches closed and all ground equipment is removed.
The parking brakes are set. You may lift.
Parking brake set. Lifting the aircraft.
We are cleared for start and push.
Okay, cleared for push start. Please release parking brake.
Alright. Brakes will be released.
Parking brakes are released.
Commencing pushback. You can start the engines in sequence.
It will start in the sequence.
Alright, now we are beginning pushback, so we will come up top here and hold the engine number 2 starter for 3 seconds until the light comes on. We're listening for the air pack to change, which we do here. Looking for N2 to rise, which it is, and then at 20% N2 we will introduce fuel. Alright. Alright, our oil pressure is in the green, oil temp is in the green, and we'll watch the ITT verify we do not have a hot start. Look around us so we don't hit anyone. Okay, negative hot start, that's good. And engine number 2 is stable, so we'll come over top. Same process for engine number 1. Hold that for 3 seconds. Light comes on. We have a change in the pack. And N2 is rising. Alright, and 20% N2. Let's get fuel into the engine.
Okay, pushback completed. Please set your parking brake.
Okay. Brake set.
Parking brake set.
Parking brake set. Lowering aircraft.
Our nose is being brought back down.
Startup is complete. You may disconnect.
Roger. Good engine start. Clear it to disconnect. See you at the side. Have a good flight.
Holding position waiting for the visual. Thank you and goodbye.
Alright, and we have 2 good and stable engine starts, negative hot starts, so we're good there. Come back to the checklist here. After start, the generators are on auto as we verified. Electronics look good. We'll double check with the engine running if we're getting positive charge now, which we are. Our generators are in the green and we're getting green numbers. Sweet. Bleed valves are all on auto. We already checked that. The packs are on. The APU can come off. And we'll close the SOV door. And we'll bring this back to our stat page real quick. Anti-ice is off. It is pretty warm in St. Louis. I'll double check what the actual temperature is, which is 25 degrees. That's pretty warm. Alright, nose wheel steering is armed per the checklist. Sweet. Alright, so we'll go to the taxi checklist, and we will be taking off with flaps 8 yet again. So drop the flaps down to 8 and verify that that sets. Flaps 8, there we go. Flight controls, check. Free and correct. Come down here. Flight controls. Alright, we're going to go full right. Right aileron up and spoilers. Left aileron down. Left aileron and spoilers up. Right aileron down. Elevator full forward. Elevator full aft. Rudder full right. And full left if I could speak. And flight controls are free and correct. So we'll bring this back to our stat page. And then trims are green and checked. We already set those. Verify the thrust reversers are armed, which they are. Flight instruments we checked, and brake temp.
St. Louis traffic, southwest 106, 10 miles from
are in the green.
We're doing the ILS 30 right.
Cool.
St. Louis.
So we are set for taxi. All right, cool. So let's get off of the EFB view here. We'll turn on our nose light. We'll turn off the brakes, and we are ready to taxi. All right, I will turn the dome light off so we can see a little better outside. And we're taking Charlie straight down. Actually, we're hopping over on Delta to the end of the runway. Cool. Let's look at the airport diagram. So we'll make a left on Charlie 6, and Delta will be down. All right. St. Louis traffic, Endeavor 4821 is at the Alpha Terminal, taking Charlie 6 Delta to runways 30 left, St. Louis. And we can get rid of the pushback plug-in, and let's get ourselves on the road. And we'll also box our CAS alerts here. And then if anything new pops up, we'll know. And we do have a southwest inbound that maybe we'll get to see land. And we're taking Delta all the way down. And monitoring our ground speed so we don't go above 20. There is a plane. What are you doing, my guy? He is on the correct frequency, but he's not talking. Okay.
St. Louis traffic, Walker 3568 on ramp taxiway 6 is taxiing via Charlie 4, Delta to runway 30 left, and I'm going to hold short at Charlie 4. Making way for the Endeavor, Walker 3568.
Oh, okay, cool. So that was him talking just there. A little hair lady kind of scared me. But he's holding short for us, so he's giving us the way, which is very cool of him.
St. Louis traffic. St. Louis traffic, Delta 314, 20 miles left base for ILS runway 30 right. Delta 314.
Okay. So since he's giving way to us, we'll pick up the speed on the ground just a little bit so we're not holding him back too long. And we're 20 knots on the taxi speed. We'll keep it right there. And what is he flying again? He is an A330. And he does appear as such. That's cool. I love the model matching for VATSIM. I'm so glad I downloaded that program down. I was tired of seeing generic models from the sim. They don't match the airplane type at all. That is in fact an A330. It's so cool to see that, honestly.
And St. Louis traffic, Walker 3568. Continue taxiing Charlie 4, Delta to runway 30 left, behind the Endeavor. St. Louis traffic.
Alright, and it looks like we do have an airplane on final, and I do think it's for our runway. So
St. Louis traffic, Southwest 106 on the ILS runway 30 right. St. Louis.
oh, he is 30 right. Okay, so we should be good to take off 30 left. Alright. So let's go through the before takeoff checklist. So lights and strobes are coming on. I'll wait for us to get on the runway for that. Automatic, the manual fuel override, cross flow is on. Flight attendants are advised. Transponder and TCAS is good. Radar terrain display is good. CAS is checked. Alright. Then once again, we'll turn lights on as we enter the runway.
Ladies and gentlemen, the captain has advised that we are now cleared for takeoff. Please notice the cabin lights have been turned off, as this is a normal procedure for a nighttime takeoff.
And it kind of looks like this guy... Okay, he is on the ILS for 30 right. Okay, cool. Alright, so we're ready to enter the runway, so the lights are all coming on, landing lights and strobes, and we'll turn the wing inspection lights on just in case we need to monitor for icing or anything. St. Louis traffic, Endeavor 4821 is taking runway 30 left, departing to the north, St. Louis. Alright, so we will engage toga mode on our throttle here, and we'll line up with the runway. And I do have 30 left.
St. Louis traffic, Delta 314, intercepting 30 right, localizer 15 miles.
Alright, engine's stable. Let's go toga thrust. Hope I am. A little bit of a crosswind from the right
Hello,
side, so
traffic,
we're going to
Walker
use our
3568
ailerons to
lining
fight
up
that.
behind the Endeavour, runway 30 left, behind St. Louis traffic.
Alright, 100
St. Louis
knots, we'll
traffic,
cross-check.
Southwest 106, short final, runway 30 right, St. Louis.
Their V-speeds are pretty high. So again, we'll V1 rotate. Don't want to pull up too hard. Nice and smooth. Look at that. Alright, much better of a rotation than out of Minneapolis. Okay, we'll walk that rudder back out. Since we're not trying to maintain centerline anymore, we have a positive rate gear up. Let's zoom in on our MFD a little bit so we know how to get direct to the waypoint. Okay, and we're going to make a right turn. And St. Louis traffic, Endeavour 4821, making the right turn northbound, St. Louis seal. Okay, we'll go flaps 1 as we pick up speed.
And St. Louis traffic, Walker 3568, taking off runway 30 left, take off the Prec 5 departure.
And flaps are up.
And and then we'll call near.
And we'll engage the autopilot. I don't know why we're getting to ground proximity. We're not near any terrain.
St. Louis traffic, Southwest 106, vacated runway 30 right on Echo 2.
So
we'll hold short, runway 30
at
left.
250 knots. Okay, so our autopilot is not engaging. That's really interesting to me. So right now, let's fly by hand, and let's get that nose down for 250 knots. Recycle the autopilot here, see if we can't do anything about that. Okay, doesn't look like we can. So flaps are all the way up, that's good. Our cross flow valve can go to automatic. Bleeds and APU are good, and the reversers can come off. CAS, and then I'm going to verify that the yaw damper is on, which it is. So why wouldn't the autopilot turn
Walker
on?
3568, clear of runway 30 left, climbing to 1,300 feet, and going to turn slight left to the west on the Prec 5.
There we go.
Call for St. Louis traffic.
Seems like I had to recycle my yaw damper for something to happen
30
there. That's
left to the terminal. Last call.
But we got it, and now it should be following course. Cool. Well, we did pretty good there taking it by hand and figuring it out later. That's really important when you're dealing with an autopilot issue.
Delta 314, 5 mile final, runway 30 right.
Alright, now we're looking good. Our autopilot engaged. We're on course. And I wasn't too far off. That's pretty good for hand flying. Only thing is probably the speed, but that's okay. Speed was a little bit lower than 250, but we were at a decent climb speed, so nothing too terrible. Alright. So our climb checklist is complete, so we can have descent on standby, and we're just going to monitor our charts. Probably should have pulled up the departure here. That would have been a smarter thing to do. But we're looking like we're on course here. We for sure we're above those altitudes at the restrictions. Good. Alright, that is 10,000 feet. Let's use the no smoking sign to notify the flight attendants. To give them a chime. We'll get the landing lights all off. I remembered that this time. That's good. And then we will increase the speed to 290 knots. Because that's pretty standard. And then this time we'll be a little more conscious on intercepting our Mach speed that we want to climb at. Mach 0.74. That's what we put in for VNAV, and that's what we're going to use. Engine gauges are still all looking very good. Oh yeah, I touched the no smoking sign, so the stat page came back up. We'll box that again. And our heading is pretty much synced. Nice. And then we'll look at our Mach speed on top of the... Whoop. What? What just happened? This is exactly the same problem that happened with the 737 MAX. Okay, so let's see if we can see that dome light. Get that on. I don't have it in sight. This is terrible. Oh, this is... So what actually is happening here?
And we're crossing 3314 as indicated runway 30 right. We're crossing runway 30 left and Papa.
I wish I could see. That would be extremely helpful. Let me see if there's a... Hey, there we go. Okay, that's what I need. Okay, so for some reason all of our generators got turned off. Our engines... Our aircraft is still moving. This is really unfortunate. So, what are we going to do here?
Delta 314 is indicated runway 30 left, Delta to the right.
Fuel pumps were shut off. Is there like a fuel valve switch or something? This is terrible. The aircraft is still moving, which is what's really intriguing to me. Okay, so what I'm going to do is check out and see what that control is binded to, because that's what happened with the 737 MAX when I was flying it into... Oh, where were we going? I don't even remember where we were, but I bumped my mixture control into the reverser position, and see, that's really interesting to me. It's not assigned to anything. Huh. It's a very interesting noise coming out too. Is there like a rat or something that deployed on me? What's really, really strange too is that this aircraft is still climbing. What really stinks too is I was able to get the max started again after I did that, but this one I can't. Wow. Well, if there was ever a sign that maybe it was time to log off, this would probably be it. It's extremely unfortunate. This is exactly what happened when I was flying the 737 MAX on the last stream. I was on approach to an airport and I bumped my mixture throttle. For some reason the mixture control on the Logitech throttle Quadrant has like a reverser position, the same thing as the throttle, and I bumped it and all of the electronics turned off and everything like that. But the thing is I was able to get the max turned back on, but I am not able to get this CRJ turned back on, and that's just extremely unfortunate. I think it has to do with 737 is just more of a manual aircraft, and I was able to manually turn the generators on and everything like that. The only thing I can think to do is, yeah, there is no on position, it's just auto. Well, that really stinks. Huh. And I'm even more confused because the reverser, you know, part of the mixture control, the reverser in any of these axes, it's registered as a button, not as an axis. So I tested to see what button that was binded to, and it's not even binded to any controls. So I'm not even sure why that just shut everything off. Because there is no mixture control in any type of jet or anything like that. So this control in itself should actually have been entirely useless. But that's just not the case. It's not assigned to anything, and yet we have something happening here. Would it be on here for some reason, or? Nope, because that's the wrong. Weird. Yeah, I don't know. That's extremely unfortunate because I have something to do relatively early in the morning and I can't stay up and restart the whole flight, so yeah. Well, I sincerely apologize for that. I'm not even sure what happened there. I definitely have to figure out why that would ever happen. because that's very strange. Well, I guess we learn as we go. So, note to self, just keep the mixture in the full up position and you won't have that happen to you. Okay, well, I don't know when my next stream is going to be. I was thinking it was probably going to be tomorrow. I think I want to stream tomorrow. I don't have much going on, and maybe I can squeeze one in. It's not guaranteed. For those of you who are subscribed to my channel and stuff, just to look out for the scheduling and everything like that. I want to do it, and I hope I can do it, but it's not guaranteed. But maybe tomorrow. Yeah, so we only got to do one of the two legs, and then something completely disastrous happened, which is, I guess that's the way it goes in the flight sim world. Anyway, yeah. Shout out to my girlfriend Ellie and her mother who were watching the second flight of the stream. I hope you did not see the absolute nightmare that just happened, because that's super embarrassing. But thanks for tuning in. I appreciate it, and shout out to you guys. And yeah, until the next stream, I don't even know what to say. You guys take care. Good day, good night, wherever you are, and thanks for tuning in. See ya.